Some romances announce themselves with fireworks and perfect timing. But Cyrene's story doesn't start like that. It starts the way real life often does, messy, ordinary, and a little tired around the edges. The kind of days where your calendar is full, your heart feels oddly quiet. And you tell yourself you're fine because you have bills to pay and errands to run and one more thing to handle before the night is over. The world keeps moving, even when you don't feel like you're moving with it. Cyrene is the sort of person who carries her hope like a small, stubborn ember. Not the loud kind of hope that demands attention, but the steady kind that survives on routine. She learns how to make do, the same coffee cup, the same route home. The same careful smile for people who only see the surface. And still, something aches under the surface, an old longing that doesn't have a name anymore, but never fully leaves. On nights like that, she holds silence the way some people hold hands, wishing it could become warmth again. Then there's the threshold. Not just a door or a hallway, but that fragile moment between one version of your life and the next. When you're not quite ready to give up and not quite brave enough to begin. It's where you hesitate, where you listen for a sign you're afraid to want. Cyrene crosses it anyway. Because life keeps asking questions. And she answers the only way she knows how, by showing up. 1. 5. The air changes when you step into a new space, like the world is holding its breath with you. That's where the music comes in, though it isn't the kind you expect. There's a song she didn't plan for. A rhythm that slips past her defenses and lands in her chest like it's always belonged there. It doesn't fix everything. It doesn't erase the hard days or the grief that lingers politely in the corners. But it does something quieter and more powerful. It reminds her that feeling something real is still allowed. That love isn't only a memory you replay when you miss what you lost, it can be a presence. Arriving with gentle persistence. And that's the heart of with you once more. Not that love is effortless, but that it returns even when you thought the timing was gone. Even when you've grown used to absence. Even when everyday challenges keep interrupting your courage. Because sometimes love doesn't burst through your life like a certainty, it comes back like a question you answer with trembling hope. 1. 5. Cyrene isn't waiting for a miracle from far away. She's learning how to recognize it when it finally stands within reach. Right on the other side of what she once believed was the end. The next moment is the one that changes the air between strangers into something warmer. It's when her world tilts just enough for the song to make sense and for what she's been missing to feel strangely, unmistakably close. You can feel it in the trailer's pacing. Cyrene doesn't get swept away by fireworks. Instead, the romance blooms through the smallest, almost deniable details. A glance that lingers a fraction too long. A pause before she speaks. As if her heart is quietly checking whether it's safe to want something again. 1. 2. You're watching love start as a sensation first, not a declaration. Like her emotions are learning a new language under the pressure of ordinary life. Then comes the miscommunication, the kind that doesn't look dramatic on the outside, but changes everything from the inside. Someone says the wrong thing. Someone misunderstands the intention behind it. And Cyrene, even when she doesn't fully realize it, is holding two truths at once, that she's been hurt before. And that she still recognizes something familiar in the person in front of her. Maybe she thinks she's protecting herself by reading too much into silence. Or maybe she tells herself she's fine because resilience has become her default setting. But the trailer keeps nudging you toward the romance lens truth. Love isn't only what you feel. It's what you choose to interpret. That's where patience enters, not as a perfect personality trait, but as a practice. Cyrene doesn't move in straight lines. She wavers. She circles back. She takes in the scene again as if she's reading between the beats of the song. And when the timing feels off, she doesn't treat it as proof that she's too late. She treats it as proof that people are human, feelings are messy, and meaning takes time to land. The tender part is how she keeps showing up, even when her confidence isn't loud. You can also see the signs the trailer offers: ordinary day signals that become romantic once you notice them. The way the world seems slightly kinder when she's near. The way her posture softens, like her body remembers an old hope. The way she responds differently to the same situation, not because life got easier, but because her heart is taking the long route toward trust. Point 0. 8. Those moments aren't random. They're the guideposts of a relationship forming in real time, where love is built from repetition, not just from intensity. And there's a quiet courage woven through every beat. Cyrene isn't fearless. She's careful, and she's honest about what she risks when she lets someone close again. She learns to ask herself, without punishing herself, what she actually wants. Point 1. 3. She lets almost become try, lets confusion become curiosity, and lets the ache of past endings become the fuel for a new beginning that isn't guaranteed, but is worth fighting for. By the time the trailer brings you back to that lingering closeness, it feels less like a fantasy and more like a vow she's making to her own future. Not just to the person beside her, but to the version of herself who refuses to lock love out forever. And when the next moment arrives, it won't ask you to believe in miracles. It'll show you what happens when Cyrene chooses, again and again, to let love find her in the middle of life. Point 1. 2. Sometimes, love doesn't arrive with fireworks. Sometimes it comes with receipts, missed calls, and the kind of awkward silence that feels louder than any confession. Cyrene has that look in the trailer: half softness, half self-protection, and you can feel how much she's already survived. She's not pretending the past didn't happen. She's carrying it like a small, heavy bag she keeps meaning to put down. Then life does what life always does. The middle of things gets messy. A plan falls apart. A promise gets delayed. Someone's words land a little wrong and the air between them tightens like a knot you didn't notice until you tried to breathe through it. Cyrene's tenderness doesn't vanish, but it wobbles. Because tenderness has a cost. It asks you to risk being disappointed. Point 0. 9. And when her world doesn't cooperate, she has to decide whether her feelings were real or just convenient. That's where perseverance shows up, not as a dramatic speech, but as a choice made in the aftermath. She pauses before she reacts. She doesn't turn away just because her heart flinches. You can almost hear her mind working through the hardest question: if this goes wrong again, will I break, or will I learn? The trailer doesn't frame her as fixed. It frames her as willing. Willing to try again with the same trembling, but a new kind of honesty. Point 1. 4. Because the setbacks aren't only external. They're inside her: two old patterns that wake up when things start feeling safe. There's that moment where she almost reaches for closeness, then remembers the ending she knows too well. Her fear wants to be in charge. It offers her an easy exit: retreat, distance, pretend you never cared. But Cyrene's heart is stubborn in its own quiet way. It refuses to be controlled by one bad chapter, even if that chapter felt final. Point 1. And here's the thing about learning the hard way. It doesn't mean suffering for love. It means love isn't always intuitive at first. Sometimes you have to practice trusting the good parts, even when your body expects the worst. Cyrene's perseverance looks like staying present during the uncomfortable moment, like choosing to return to the conversation instead of closing the door. Like letting her feelings evolve instead of demanding certainty overnight. Point 0. 7. When you watch the trailer lean into that middle tension, you realize tenderness grows through resilience the way roots grow through stubborn soil. Not quickly. Not smoothly. But steadily. She is not romantic because everything goes her way. She is romantic because she keeps choosing care, even when care feels risky. Even when the world tests whether she can hold on to softness without becoming naive. The most hopeful part is the way the story keeps giving her tiny chances to be brave again. A look that lingers a second longer than she planned. A truth she says gently, not as a shield, but as an offering. A moment where she doesn't just feel, she listens. 1. 0. It's not an instant rescue. It's not a guarantee. It's the slow rebuilding of safety, one imperfect attempt at connection at a time. So when the trailer edges toward that lingering closeness, it doesn't ask you to believe in a miracle. It asks you to believe in repetition, the kind that matters. The kind that turns almost into something stronger. The kind that turns fear into a teacher instead of a jailer. And you can feel that the next shift is coming. Not because everything is suddenly perfect, but because Cyrene has learned how to keep walking forward with her heart unhidden. The air between them is still uncertain, but it's warmer now, like the day after a storm when the sky hasn't promised anything yet. Only that the rain has stopped. And just when you think she might retreat again, the story sets up that next brave decision. The one that will make the middle feel survivable and make love feel possible in a way that lingers. 1. 2. And then, just like that, the trailer starts to promise something rarer than fireworks. Not a love that arrives fully formed, but one that shows up again and again, practicing its way into real life. Because everyday challenges don't magically disappear. And neither do the doubts that come with them. What changes is that she stops treating love like a test she has to pass perfectly, and starts treating it like something she can nurture carefully, consistently. With her hands open instead of clenched. That's why the happy ending here feels earned. It doesn't land because the world becomes kinder overnight. It lands because Cyrene becomes steadier inside her own choices. She has learned the difference between being cautious and being closed off. She has learned that tenderness doesn't mean giving up your boundaries. It means carrying your boundaries with softness, so the connection can grow without you being consumed by fear. 1. 0. And when she steps closer, it doesn't read like surrender. It reads like return, the moment where she comes back to herself. And then lets someone else come back too. You can feel the romance building, like a path you recognize only once you've walked part of it. There is still that flicker of uncertainty in the air. That small question hanging around the edges of every look. But the story keeps answering it with action that's quiet, not loud. With honesty that doesn't demand to be believed instantly. With patience that doesn't punish anyone for taking time. 0. 8. Even the pauses between scenes feel purposeful. Like the story is teaching you that love doesn't always move fast, it moves faithfully. And if you've been disappointed by love stories that promise forever while skipping the hard parts, this one is so healing. It gives you a different kind of hope. The kind that doesn't require you to be fearless, only willing. Willing to try again after an almost. Willing to let the next conversation be gentler than the last. Willing to believe that repetition can be a form of devotion to repairing, to returning, to choosing each other on purpose. So when the trailer circles back to that lingering closeness, it doesn't ask you to believe in a miracle. It asks you to believe in the practice of love. The way small brave choices stack up until they feel like a new life. The way with you once more becomes more than a line, it becomes permission. Permission to keep showing up. Permission to keep softening. Permission to trust that even if the timing is messy, the heart can still find its way home. Because that's the warmth this story leaves behind. The belief that an achievable happy ending exists for people who keep going. Not because they never hurt, but because they never stop learning how to love without disappearing. 1. 5. And as Cyrene's journey fades toward the next chapter, the message stays with you: love can be rediscovered, nurtured, and built again and again. Until it finally feels like it was meant to last.